Hello, I'm Marites Vitug, and this is Worldview. We take a look at global, regional, and national affairs in conversations with officials, newsmakers, and analysts. Joining us is Angelito Banayo, or Lito as we call him. He was the Philippine rep to Taiwan, or our de facto ambassador there, from 2016 to 2021 during the Duterte administration. We will be talking about how he navigated sensitive ties between the Philippines and Taiwan and lessons that the present administration can learn. Lito, welcome to the show. Thank you for making time.
Thank you for inviting me, Marites.
Yeah, I think let's start muna with the first question, which is the Philippines upholds the One China policy, which means that we don't really have official relations with Taiwan, which China considers its rogue province. So you were there for about 3 to 4 years.
No, 5 years.
Oh, 5 years, right. So during your time as our Philippine rep to Taiwan, in an earlier conversation, you mentioned that there were high-level visits between Philippine government officials and Taiwanese officials. And you were able to manage these visits without getting the ire of China. How did this work? Can you tell us about it?
Well, basically, we have 3 annual or sometimes biannual conferences, which highlight the cooperation between Taiwan and the Philippines. 1 on the field of science and technology, 2 on the field of labor, because we are a labor exporting country, and 3rd on economic and trade relations. So the science and technology, as well as the economic cooperation agreements, conferences are done annually. And labor agreements, labor conference is done biannually every 2 years. No? So that is, so these are the 3 officials, cabinet level heads, who were able to visit Taiwan at the time that I was there.
But when you assumed, when you took over MECO, which is the Manila Economic and
Cultural
Office, these have been taking place already. These were in place years before.
They've been in place. In fact, in terms of the economic cooperation, we had joint conferences. I think I was already... when I came in, it was already the 26th conference or something.
So you never received protests from China, or at least the Philippines did not receive protests from China during all these annual cooperation meetings?
Well, in the first year, there were no protests from China, whether course directly to me. In the case of the Chinese ambassador here, who's a friend of mine, would call me directly, or sometimes it's coursed through the office of the president or through DFA. But for the first year, that was not too much of a problem until an incident in late 2016. I think it was October the last quarter of 2016, when our national security advisor then, retired General Hermogenes Esperon, went to Taiwan without informing me, the Office of the President, or the DFA. So I was taken aback because I happened to be in Manila at that time when he called me that he was in Taiwan. And nandun na siya. So all I could say was, please make sure that you don't have any official meetings, or if you have already pre-arranged meetings through the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Manila, make sure that they're under the radar, absolutely no press coverage, and you're not going to make any statements. That was all I could do, given the situation, because he was already there upon the invitation of TECO.
And then I remember you said that Malacanang received a call or a sort of protest also from the Chinese embassy?
Yeah, the Chinese ambassador then, Ambassador Xiao Ji-Huang, called up the executive secretary and protested the presence of General Esperon, or NSA advisor Esperon, in Taipei. And later, about maybe a week or so after, he called me directly, Ambassador Xiao, to say that, he even went, Esperon even went to MOFA, that's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and talked to the Foreign Affairs officials there, actually all the way to the top, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And they said that's a no, as you very well know. So I simply said, well, I'm sorry, I was not informed about the visit. I gave him some instructions, but these things happened. No? So from that time on, towards the second year, I had problems inviting the trade minister, Ramon Lopez, to Taiwan. He was already told also by Malacanang that he could not go to Taiwan. No? And kasi nangyayari dyan sa yung JEC, yung Joint Economic Cooperation Conference, is 1 year in Taipei, 1 year in Manila. So, pag sa Manila, it's the economic minister, no? The counterpart of our trade secretary is the Minister of Economic Affairs in Taiwan. And he or she comes to Manila. When she goes to Manila, it's below the radar. And our trade secretary, DTI secretary, would meet her in a private, in a hotel. It's, absolutely without press coverage and in my presence. No? So everything was below the radar precisely because of the complaints of then Ambassador Xiao.
But during your time, there was no other security official who visited Taipei. Would you recall?
No.
Wala.
There were agricultural officials below the level of USEC, actually up to ASEC only. And other, like Bureau of Animal Industry, the other officials in the agriculture department, they were allowed to come to Taipei. No. And in the case of Department of Science and Technology, in the first year, the secretary was there, but afterwards it was the USECs that could go there.
Why was it difficult for Secretary Lopez at the time to visit Taiwan when you had this annual joint economic?
No, the first year, which happened to be in Taipei, no, that was all right. But after, I'm surmising that after the protest on the Esperon visit, Malacanang tightened up on that. And without any written directive to the cabinet, I guess it was just verbally transmitted to them not to go to Taipei.
Actually, tinatanong ko ito because of what happened recently. The spokesperson of the Philippine Navy, si Rear Admiral Roy Trinidad, at saka yung spokesperson on the West Philippine Sea ng Philippine Coast Guard, si Commodore J. Tariela, attended an international conference in Taipei. And maraming participants, and they met with President Lai. And then nagpa-interview si Commodore J. Tariela. So this caught the attention, here in the Philippines. And so far, wala tayong narinig na protest from China, but the Department of Foreign Affairs gave them a written reprimand, like a letter asking them to explain because what they did affected the diplomatic relations or talks between Manila and Beijing. So
officially, only the resident representative of MECO is allowed to talk to the president or other officials of Taiwan rather.
So for example, in your case, when you were there, meron bang media coverage of your talks with Taiwanese officials?
Normally, no. Sometimes, however, like in the Joint Economic Conference or the Joint Science and Technology Conference, after the conference, I am allowed to talk to media about what happened or what transpired in the conference, but not our officials.
I see.
So they give me, even if I was, let's say I was not present in the workshops and all, they give me a briefing on what happened so that I would be guided when I talk to media about the conferences.
So moving forward, what do you propose that MECO, DFA, maybe DND or AFP, Armed Forces, and the Coast Guard, kailangan bang magkaroon ng guidelines or protocol for future visits?
Meron ng protocol. The guidelines is specified by President Cory Aquino, which stands up to now, which is the President, the Vice President, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, and the Secretary of National Defense are not allowed to go to Taiwan in deference to the One China policy. By practice and tradition, however, even the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives do not go there. No? Except siguro on a personal basis, but with the permission of the President. No? So that is how it is. But other lower officials can. In fact, I remember during the time of President President Noynoy Aquino, Secretary Mar Rojas would go there, on an official visit. Secretary Almendras, who was Chief of Staff of the Presidential Office, would go there, no? And some other officials like the Minister of Trade and Industry, Science and Technology, and all that.
As long as walang media coverage.
As long as walang media coverage.
So that could be a part of the moving forward na policy dapat ng ang MECO can impose that. I mean, can give
Yes.
guidelines for visiting Philippine officials.
Yeah, because the first thing that visiting Filipino officials should do when they go to Taipei or before they go to Taipei is to get in touch with our office and be guided accordingly. Yes. No? And sometimes, that's as in the case of General Esperon, that did not happen.
So maybe just a bit of background. Tingnan natin yung MECO. Kasi yung MECO, Manila Economic and Cultural Office, you really focus on consular affairs, right?
Yes.
And how are you funded? Maybe you can talk to us about it?
Actually, we perform almost all the functions of a foreign embassy. Now, in Taiwan, we give through the Bureau of Immigration, and we give visas to Taiwanese visitors to the Philippines. We issue and renew passports as well as other travel documents to Filipinos, whether OFWs or tourists who, let's say, lost their passports and need to go back. We do notarial services, and we take care of our Filipinos, even transient visitors. Like, for instance, in the case the other day, merong na-aksidente sa Hong Kong na bangga ng taxi. No? So, trabaho rin namin yun kung may mangyaring gano'n. No? We make sure that they're brought to the hospital, they're well taken care of. No? We call that assistance to nationals. So, all of these are within the ambit of our functions and responsibilities. No? Principal, of course, is the fact that we have, in my time, I started off with, I think, about 128,000 OFWs in Taiwan in 2016. By end of 2019, we had 156,000. I do not know the latest figures. Now, they say it's about 180,000.
Yes.
Yeah, so all of these are within the ambit. However, lately, because of the passage of the Department of Migrant Workers, the function of taking care of our OFWs has gone to them. But they are housed in our office.
I see.
So what has become, to me, redundant now is the labor official, because there used to be a DOLE official there called POLO, or Philippine Overseas Labor Officer. Now, I think that the functions of that has already been taken over by DMW. No? That's how
So
it is.
ngayon, with DMW taking, is it most of your functions?
As far as labor is concerned, yes. And that's a principal function, because we have so many Filipinos, Filipino workers in Taiwan. No? The other functions would be consular, which is the renewal of passports, the issuance of travel clearances. That is still MECO function. And then the others would be administrative, finance and administrative.
So with can you also explain paano ba fina-fund ang MECO? Kasi understand hindi DFA ang nagfa-fund ng
No,
MECO.
it's not. We're not under DFA. We're under the Office of the President. But we cannot be included in the budget of the Office of the President as submitted to Congress. Yung National Economic, the President's budget, as they call it, the NEP. No, we're not included there because to include us there would mean a de facto recognition of Taiwan as a foreign post, no, which cannot be done. So MECO is a sui generis private corporation. No? That is why one of the benefits of working with MECO is you don't have to produce a SAL-N. No? Kasi private ka. No?
Yes.
Considered ka private. No? So that is how it is. So we earn, basically, 80% of our revenues come from visas. Because we charge, at that time, and I think up to now, 1,200 new Taiwan dollars for a travel visa, which in Philippine pesos would amount to about 1,900, almost 2,000 now, no? Pesos. No? So that's the bulk of our income. The 20% comes from renewal of passports, no? Passport services, and notarization of vital documents like birth certificates, no, death certificates, and all that.
Pero the Philippines has been granting visa-free status to visitors from Taiwan. Di ba? Hindi lang ngayon. I mean, I remember going...
In July of 2017, July 1 of 2017, Taiwan gave Filipinos 14-day visa-free travel. And they were asking us to reciprocate. I could not reciprocate, no? First, because of the financial situation, because we were funded, 80% of our funding was coming from visas. And second also, because if we officially do that, no, China might also request, no, the Philippine government, no, why are you giving our so-called renegade province, no, visa-free travel and not Chinese citizens? Of course, that is a sovereign power of the receiving government, no. But still, it creates diplomatic tensions. No?
So during your time, walang visa-free for Taiwanese tourists, like 14-day travel?
None. So they did that only this year. I mean, I think it's starting July or August 1st. I'm not too sure.
No, but the last time I traveled, it was visa. I didn't have to pay.
Yeah, in your case, that has been extended year after year by Taiwan.
Okay.
Because realistically also, Taiwan lost a big chunk of their Chinese market. Their Chinese market used to be the biggest part of their visitor arrivals. But when in 2016, the Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, took over, which was for Taiwan, which asserted not really independence, but somehow wanted frostier relations with the mainland. No, so China clamped down on visitor arrivals to Taiwan. So that had to be replaced by other markets, and the other markets were mostly the ASEAN countries. No? So,
how does MECO get its funds ngayon kung wala na tayong fees for...
Well, we have savings naman. No? In fact, in 2020, at the start of the COVID pandemic, which started late February, early March, we had a cash flow problem because nothing was coming in, no, except for passport renewals, and we had such huge administrative cost to handle. So what I did was I went on cost-cutting measures. I cut the directors. I mean the emoluments of the officers, not the rank and file, but the officers, no, including myself. And then later I closed down because we had 3 offices: Taipei, Taichung in central Taiwan, and Kaohsiung in southern Taiwan. I closed down Kaohsiung latter part of, I think, the third quarter of 2020, no? Because the COVID pandemic was, parang you couldn't see the end in sight at that time, no? And I was afraid na we would run out of funds or we would have to touch or draw down from our reserve, our contingency fund. Now, what is this reserve fund? We put up some 400 million new Taiwan dollars in reserve for contingency in the event of, let's say, a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Now, because then we would have to mobilize. We'd have to make sure that all our 156,000 Filipinos at that time were properly sheltered, fed, no, and all that. And how do we repatriate them to the Philippines if the war is protracted? No?
So there's always reserve funds.
There should be reserve funds because wala nga kami sa budget ng Philippine government.
Yes.
Eh, no? So you'll have to, well, the president, of course, can use his other funds, no? Including intelligence, confidential funds, calamity funds, whatever. But it's not that going to be that easy. So kailangan meron kaming something to fall back on.
And then, Lito, you mentioned to me in an earlier conversation na during your time as MECO rep, you proposed to the Office of the President na baguhin na yung structure, meaning that the Foreign Affairs Department should run MECO, take over and provide the budget?
No, in late 2020, I wrote a confidential memo to the Office of the President through the Executive Secretary, where I proposed that since it looked like the Department of Migrant Worker bill was going to be approved anyway, no? So that would take care of the labor functions. No? And the only other aspect would be the consular function. And I proposed that instead of us hiring our own consular officials, who would anyway coordinate with DFA, why not for DFA to second some of its FSO officials to the Office of the President, under which MECO was, and the Office of the President would send them to Taiwan.
FSO means Foreign Service Officer.
Service officers, no? So in that way, we're able to circumvent the One China policy because they're like yung protocol officer ng Malacanang, normally DFA ano yan eh, DFA employee or official, di ba? Seconded to Malacanang. So I proposed that so that all that would be left would be the administrative and finance function, no? Where you'll need a representative in Taiwan nonetheless, no? So yun, his or her staff, just a few people. Then, of course, DTI has a trade attaché there, commercial counselor, no, who's also attached to, and DOT has a tourism attaché, also attached to MECO. So these are funded by their own budgets here.
Right.
Moving forward, that could be done, no? But there was no action on the part of Malacanang, and I don't know now how it is. No?
Would you remember kung anong objections nila to this proposal?
Actually, as far as the Office of the Executive Secretary was concerned, wala namang objection eh. Except that they were so busy at that time wondering what to do with the COVID pandemic that I guess it was put in the back burner.
And then earlier, you mentioned that repatriation is going to be tough to deal with. Why?
Okay.
In case of Chinese invasion.
In case there, hostilities erupt between the mainland and Taiwan. No? Obviously, the first attack, whether from the Navy or the air, will be the airports, the military installations, and the naval installations, the ports. No? So transportation will be paralyzed. No? Because in the case of Taiwan, and I'm sure the mainland knows where these are, no? The military installations, for instance, no, the Air Force are also near the airport, in the commercial airports, no? And the same thing with the naval ports, the commercial naval ports and the commercial ports and the Taiwanese Navy. So when you attack, when they, let's say, speculatively, when attack happens, how do you bring out our OFWs? That becomes a bad. So the best we could do was to make sure that they are housed in shelters. Fortunately, the Taiwanese government assured us that there would be enough space in their underground basements or locations, no, where our OFWs could be housed. No? They had already pre-planned that, I guess. No? Yeah.
And also, you mentioned that among the ASEAN countries, dalawa lang na bansa ang
meron parang MECO.
Parang MECO. The rest are really run by foreign service officers.
Yes, Vietnam, for instance, Thailand, Singapore, ano pa ba? Kasi Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar do not have relations with Taiwan at all, no? Brunei also has, no?
So na-skirt nila yung one China policy.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but they were assigning foreign service officers, and they were answerable to their Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
I see. So in your experience,
so how they did that, you know.
But you've not heard about protests from China regarding this setup among other ASEAN countries?
No. Mm-hmm. No, in fact, the number one exporter of labor to Taiwan is Indonesia, followed by Vietnam, followed by the Philippines. We're number 3. So, no.
So very interesting na parang kakaiba yung setup natin. I mean, together with Malaysia.
Yeah, pwede. I don't know also about Malaysia, but Malaysia has the same thing. You know, they have a corporation also, no, headed by a CEO, no, answerable to the office of the Prime Minister, not the DFA.
Okay. For the final question, Lito, this is about your other life, your major. Most of what you've done in the Philippines, you run political campaigns, election campaigns. So tell us about your upcoming book.
No, I finished the first draft of a book which details my experiences in the campaigns as well as when I was a government official under the presidents that I helped. So we begin with Cory Aquino.
You were postmaster?
I was postmaster general, no, and then of course I was instrumental together with Doy Laurel, the Vice President Doy Laurel, in organizing the opposition forces in the Philippines prior to the 1986 EDSA revolution. No? And then after that, I was the spokesman of the Mitra Fernan campaign in 1992, but unfortunately we lost to Fidel Ramos, followed by again the Estrada campaign where we won, but unfortunately that was a short-lived campaign. And much of the book actually tackles those controversial moments, the behind the scenes in Malacanang, no, that were not written by others before. And then after that, I handled Ping Lacson, no, in the 2004 elections.
His first
2001 senatorial election, then 2004 when he ran for president, where it was a five-sided campaign, I think, between Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, FPJ, Ping Lacson, Brother Eddie, and Raul Rocco. So that was then, again, I lost there. And then in 2010, I helped the Pinoy campaign. No? And then after that, the Duterte campaign. No? And the last one, 2022, was Isko Moreno. Again, we lost. So 4 wins and 3 losses.
So what's your title of your book?
My editor is proposing a title of 4Ps. 4Ps? Yeah, meaning, just to catch attention, 4Ps. But it means power, politics, presidency, and the press. Because I've always believed that central to running any national campaign, particularly the presidency, is the messaging, and media relations. No? More than, yung mga so-called field operations. No? For the president, it differs when you're talking of local politics. No?
I'm wondering tuloy, Lito, bakit ka napunta sa MECO? Why did Duterte appoint you? And what did he give you marching orders?
I was already 69 when he became president, 2016. I was pushing towards 70, and I didn't want a a tough job in the Philippines. And so I asked for a foreign posting. And he said, first he jokingly, he said, mukha ka namang mistizong Chinese eh. Sa China, gusto mo? Sabi ko, wag naman doon ka ako. I said, wag naman sa China ako kasi the pollution in Beijing at that time was very bad. And I have these constant allergies. So I said, baka pwede Taiwan, no? So I said, sige. That was how it was.
Walang marching orders, like any...
Basically, he said, basta be very careful about our one China policy, sabi niya. You understand that naman, sabi niya. And two, try to get as much investments from Taiwan as you can, which is where I really focused my attention.
And I think that's continuing until today, no?
In fact, some of the what you call that, some of the new so-called new investments coming in were negotiated long before during my time, and so they're now bearing fruit, no?
But just one final question: during your time, did a scenario of China invading Taiwan, was it already being talked about?
Well, there is always that possibility because Xi Jinping keeps saying that by force if necessary. But from the point of view of both the Taiwanese officials and even Taiwanese students and businessmen, they don't believe it's going to happen. No, they think that at the end of the day, there will be some kind of rapprochement, some kind of negotiated settlement, no? The problem though arose when the relations of Hong Kong with the mainland started to sour when there were protests, street protests and rallies, and Beijing clamped down on Hong Kong. So they were now afraid. Taiwan is now afraid that the same thing might happen because Taiwan has a very free society, their press is free, very republican, very democratic and open society. So people have gotten used to that, despite the fact that they went under a dictatorship under Chiang Kai-shek and Chiang Ching-ko, But they've already become very, very open and very democratic. So that is a problem. But at the end of the day, I think things can be ironed out between the mainland and these are cousins, At the end of the day, hindi naman siguro aabutin ng ganon. And especially the business community, they feel strongly that they can coexist.
Well, on that cautiously optimistic note, thank you very much, Lito. And that's it for today's show. Before we go, we'd like to invite everyone to download the Rappler Communities app. You can join our chat rooms there and continue this discussion. Thank you so much again, Lito, and thank you to our viewers.
Marites.
This has been Worldview with Marites Vitug. Till next time.